data breaches, no, it's not a one-way journey. Accidental loss of your data can be a data breach. So, obi ye juma ebi awa Happy FM ha na obi a request data legitimately information na here na the one na disclosure no I disclosed to the wrong person. Oh, so, but it was disclosed to me. Yeah, I bet me I data breach because the disclosure is not to the appropriate person. Usually, in security, you can say CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Integrity, confidentiality, and also how the who receives the information, how it is received, such that obi or one chain onto me who near koso. More like need to know basis. Until generally, yes, I agree, sir. The rise in these breaches is a cause for concern. We share that terrain at 2004, Bessie 2024. Yeah, Data Protection Act, it came in 2012. So even from 2000 to 2012, it's 8 years without regulatory control of the space. And as a professional, because even where the regulations are there, enforcement, they are very strong. They still experience data breaches. But look at us from 2004 to 2012. We had no law. And then 2012, passing a law. We actually got into proper, implementation somewhere in 2015. By which time, commission has been resourced a little to start doing something. And so from 2015, it's a decade, right? Now, within that decade, we had to battle with resources, change in administration, training, awareness, even building the actual capacity. The regulator now, to do his work, needed people who even understand these things to be able to lead the charge. And then we had a technology ecosystem where it's literally a free for all. Because a global village. My computer, I can do what I want. Onya Data Protection Act, onya Cyber Security Act, authorities ni na akikom kakra NITA so abem. Ama we are in an era where at least there is more, if you like, cohesion towards providing a solution to some of these things. But just to answer your question, yes, there's a justification why those numbers were high. Lack of regulatory regime for literally 8 years. And then an enforcement that has not really been, if you like, encouraging. We've for me, we've been taxing ever. We're on a runway trying to figure out how to get things going. We've not gotten to the point where to say European Union, say, you'll be fine in the millions. Big companies, you'll be fine in the millions. So the issue is individuals, government itself. In fact, in order of importance, government itself, the corporate environment, and then individuals. That's how you create that ecosystem of data protection, cyber security, and ensure compliance. And the gaps do exist. But my first submission is just to answer your question. There's justification why the numbers are that huge. And I think we're at a point where we need to change things drastically.
Should we be afraid looking at the numbers? Because we are now in a digitized world.
Yeah.
Should we be afraid? Because you're always online.
Yeah, I mean, data breaches itself creates a number of problems. Let me throw some examples to users. If you lose sensitive data out there and it falls in the hands of young friend or bad person, a bad actor, what can they do with it? Identity theft. They can go and act like you. And we are not making this up. It happens. They can act like you. They can take steps that you should have taken in your name, online, and then do things in your name. Some could be criminal, some could be loss of property, loss of earnings and things like that, even loss of reputation. So it's a big deal. And that is specifically to answer the question, should we be afraid? Should we be worried? Yes, we should be, because in as much as there will be regulations, there will be enforcement, there will be awareness and all that, you are the first point of call to protect
the individual,
to protect your data. And where a company holds that data, no, it becomes their responsibility, even in law. Data Protection Act no, or can be about data controllers and not data processors. Like a data controller is organization and NIPA or GISA data no, and decides what to do with it.
Okay.
And then the data processor no, or you'll be or ye jumama data controller no, but on the ordinary employee kind of relationship. And IPFM has an accounting firm that does payroll. And every month, Museni staff I will say in an Excel sheet. That relationship, that information you are giving, IPFM is a data controller because no decide is a data or no. It is for salaries. Now your payroll consultant or no G data no be processing or your data processor. So in that relationship, there can be a breach. There can be a breach. IPFM went through the appropriate channel to deliver the data, but an employee or someone connected to the consultant, or the data no, we say, oh, chairman information it's when you can any SNIT number. Oh, when you the Ghana card number. You understand? And even in that internal environment, I'm not even discussing people hacking. I haven't gotten there. I'm looking at the regular relationships that we have that can easily bring out, data breaches. So the law puts that, if you like, responsibility on us, individuals, being responsible for your data, corporates being responsible for the data that they hold, and then government as well, because government also collects data, except government, what we call exemptions, a number of exemptions. They are not blanket exemptions, but it allows the government machinery to work. For instance, taxes. And I say, for a position.
Yeah.
And I say, the law courts, an issue before the court, and then we need data to ascertain the way things are going. And our crime fighting for the police, cybersecurity authority in Sanyamano. So there are ways mramuno ya mahu kwine senebe ya government betumi aye nejuma. But generally the legal regime is such that we have to be responsible for the data that we collect and process, and we have to apply appropriate security measures. It comes with collection of that data.
If you look at the numbers, just as you mentioned, between the year 2004 up until 2008, 2012 eventually Yenya Emra Ibedisa and Semihu Juma eventually becoming a year operational in 2015. If you look at the numbers post Emrano, now over in 2024 to be specific, the number of a year data breaches would you say in your assessment say Emrano 88 mere dijumano, and just as you've explained, said those relationships lapses yentimi enhunu ye ensiani.
I don't think that we've maybe from an awareness point of view, we've tried to let people know.
Okay.
But I don't think that from a technical perspective about enforcement and the kind of controls we should put in place, I don't think we've done too well, and I'm saying this with a lot of experience and knowledge, from some of the space that I have worked. If you look at the financial sector, for instance, highly regulated. Even before we started making noise with the regulations, the regulator has been ahead of their case. You get it?
Yeah.
They've had a lot of supervisory requirements which are related to some of these things. They used to have, and they still do, provisions they called consumer protection. And then confidentiality in the banking space.
Yes.
Until they use some of those things to ensure, say, the people or the regulated that work within that space, they were, at a certain level compliant, right? But look beyond that more, if you like, stricter regulatory space. Look beyond it. Go to the insurance. Go to even the government side, Registrar General. Go to Accountant General. You understand? And there are some privacy cases in court that involves some of these entities. Because Mika is something about Bayport in one of the I think it's a circuit court, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a circuit or a district court. and it has to do with an employer or complaining says data. Bayport has used the data that Accountant General has provided, and the data was inconsistent. You know, this is a case that has been decided, so it's nothing really. Exactly. It's not a big deal. And so that particular case, the plaintiff won because the court was of the opinion. He said they were the data controller, and they should have ensured consistency and accuracy in the data, or more use, even in how they were collecting that data. This case is way back. It's way back. So I'm trying to use these things to support a very, if you like, objective answer to the question. We might be making the effort, but it hasn't got to the point where some of the stats you have would drastically reduce. Because even when you look at where they claim we are of high performance, ABR, say Global Cybersecurity Index, ITU. Check those things properly. I like the fact that we get credit for it. But I'm a professional who also believes when you take credit, you also need to look at the gaps. Those statistics, we get the credits from the regulations, the policy making. That's where we get and then the international collaboration towards some of these things. We don't really get very good scores when it comes to technical controls we need in the environment to ensure we are actually protecting the space. So it's a mixed bag of issues. Honestly, it's a mixed bag of issues. If we want to address them, we have to systematically sit down and start look at them. Maybe when we are discussing some of the things that have been done, I can share what I know from the space. But we haven't generally resolved the issues. We are still battling with fraud on mobile money payments platforms. I've been on Joy 4 or 5 years ago, probably even 8 years ago, advocating for some of these things, And so I think, sir, we are at a point where we have to be more intentional about what.
So you feel you've not been intentional when it comes to data management as
we've not been intentional. We've not been intentional about it. This is one thing passing a law. It's another thing resourcing to get value out of it. Even from the practice of journalism, how many times haven't we seen people displaying on social media people's health records? There's a principle in data protection called data minimality. So even though you as a journalist have the right to share the information for journalism purpose, and is an exception captured under the law, the law still required you to apply the minimality principle. Why didn't you mask out the person's name? Why didn't you mask out the hospital ID? Who has trained journalists on this? So when I say we have not been intentional, I know exactly what I'm saying. We've not been intentional about it. We've passed laws. That's a step to achieving it. But the advocacy, the training, the intentional... If you go to the UK, for instance, they have what they call the ICO, Information Commissioner's Office. It is a DPC, Data Protection.
Data Protection Center.
Exactly, Commission.
Commission, yeah.
Yeah. ICO publishes guidelines. And I've been saying this for God knows how long. You go to that website, it's probably one of the largest repository of data protection guidelines and checklist. They even have guidelines on how you can communicate SMS during elections. Didn't you receive messages from presidential candidates?
So how
who gave them the right?
That's one big question.
Then again, the CI, the ECCI that allows them to receive the electoral data for assessment. The purpose of that is to validate for the democratic process if the EC data is consistent with what they have.
Yeah.
So that towards election, everything would be in check, right? So even if that is where they were getting the data, there is no further legitimate interest to use it for political party marketing because our law is also clear against marketing. And I don't belong to any political party. So I haven't given consent by necessary implication to receive any message, even from where I'm a party member, even from my own party candidate. How much more people who don't belong to those parties, they don't hold party cards. At what point did they give consent for that? And then I read a few about people justifying it that there is a legitimate interest. Please read my lips. Legitimate interest is clear. It's a legal term. What is a legitimate interest here? You don't just throw words around. The law gave them the authority to receive the data to validate. So I'm assuming that that's where they even got the data from.
Yeah.
Look, there's even a problem. That law, when you read the line by line the various data points that they are supposed to receive, it doesn't include phone number. It doesn't include phone number. So even if by convention the EC collects phone number, let's assume that by convention the EC collects phone number. The parties are not even supposed to receive data with the phone number. But let's assume that, okay, by convention, through their IPAC or whatever, they need a whole view, so it is shared. It has been shared. The purpose for which it is shared was to validate the democratic process. Validate the democratic process.
And that ends it.
So you don't create another legitimate interest that political party marketing is legitimate. Whose interest? I'm not interested. And I know people who have complained over and over that they were not, they didn't ask for that data to be shared. They didn't ask for that data to be used the way it was used.
So we can call that a breach, a data breach.
It is a breach. That's what I started explaining from the beginning. When you talk about data breach, it's not one hacker, my good friends I started with, run through some system, find a vulnerability, and then take hold of the data and then spread it around. Look, there was a time where a telco's customer system was leaking, right? And the CRM, the data records, people could see it.
Yes.
That's a breach. But I don't think it was intentional for them, because later investigations showed that they were decommissioning that server. They were decommissioning that server. But then for whatever reason, internal processes, that has not been done. Then there is an external vulnerability on it. And then people who knew their way around could get access to that. And it was volumes of data. I'm not even kidding you.
Yeah.
That's a data breach, right? So if it's an internal mistake, but it exposed the data. So that's a data breach. And that's where the Data Protection Commission, for instance, comes in. Once upon a time, we heard of NSS also had a data breach on his is it Google Cloud or Amazon Cloud? Amazon Cloud. That's a data breach, right? The NSS didn't think that was intentional, but of course, it's an AWS bucket leakage. So that's a data breach, And then you get situations where you hear reports of people actually engaging a system unlawfully, tampering with it, and running away with data. That's a data breach as well. So data breach can be intentional and unintentional. It can also come from an insider. It can come from an outsider. So that's why you see those numbers that you're talking about. Because if I, for instance, claim that I'm receiving marketing messages from an organization.
Yes. For example, like telcos or an institution that I don't know anything about.
Exactly.
Like they be normal the message in the air, but
yes.
We say you say, we say click, we say you say. Me say be awa would tell me when your send messages ni be bebre phone so. As my yana me busa and they say a handful no munya me number free.
And also another objective answer to them question is the fact that data can be collected from different places. Again, I speak as an expert on this subject matter. We be a friend of web scrapping. Some of us use social media to advertise our little businesses. We put our numbers there. It's just a very simple Python script. Python is the programming language. You bet me now they are web scrapping of phone numbers. Someone can walk away in 24 hours, millions of phone numbers, just scrapping the web. So first of all, these are even numbers that you've thrown out there that somebody picks.
One willingly for a purpose,
for a purpose that is known and good to you.
Exactly.
And again, it's good you make that emphasis, because your scrappy data, the collection of the data might be lawful because it's public, but the use of the data will be unlawful because you've not consented to the further use of that data.
Of course.
Their advice, privacy is in continuum. Data protection, privacy is in continuum. It is not a matter of, but I took it from your Facebook. No. Yes, for collection purposes, lawful.
Yeah.
But what you use it for that affects me without my consent and my notice is unlawful. And it's clear. So we need to also structure the regime of conversation as to how these things happen. So back to data collection, there could also be a situation where people have actually bought the data. Yes, it happens. But I'm also here to say our law is clear. Section 88, 89 of the Data Protection Act. It is unlawful to sell and buy data in Ghana. And it's not Desmond saying it. The law says you can. In fact, that particular law made it criminal. So you can serve a conviction for buying and selling data. But I know this is happening. It is happening within companies.
Yes.
It is happening within businesses. And they are calling it data brokerage. I had a training recently and I was advising some players that begin to identify what you mean by data brokerage. Because in the US, data brokerage is lawful. In the US, you can buy and sell data. In Ghana, you cannot.
Because emranitia.
Even if you never knew, we all know that ignorance of the law is no excuse. But now some of you know, because I've said it. Buying and selling data is not allowed in Ghana. Yes. Yes. Micro loan. Now I call accountant general. Now I call only boys I call you move. Now what you ask na ya ma for data. It's unlawful. There's criminal conviction on that. you can't do that. Both the seller and the buyer have flouted the law. 88, 89, Data Protection Act 2012, Act 843. So there are a lot of conversations that needs to be brought together to whip up the system so that we would know where our responsibilities are and where our rights are. And so the data can be bought, the data can be scrapped from the web, and then there can also be internal sharing. Afensu, conferences, I have to be responsible. I mean, when I was entering the station, I had to put down my name. I have no issues with it at all. But in the data processing regime, the first question I would ask if I wanted to be a bit fuzzy, why are you collecting the data? Because I'm here on your invitation. So if it's based on security and that's the reason why we are collecting the data, okay, at least I could see the first 5 people before I wrote my name. Were those people interested in me seeing their names? And their phone numbers there. So I want to show you how data leaks. You understand? It can be so innocuous that we are not even paying attention to how some of these data goes out there. And it can also be very grand, where there is a real schemed up enterprise for that. The data selling, a hacker getting the data, servers that are leaking, and you can pull the data from there, web scrapping. These are grand schemes to get data. But data can also go out in a very simple, innocuous way.
Unintentionally.
Unknowingly. Yes. And then that I didn't really want to waste time coming for your session. Very few stations, and I credit to yourself and others who do invite us, but very few stations allow this kind of advocacy. And I kept saying, we think we know, but we don't.
And it's true, because it said you'll be anyhow. With regards to even internally, said your data, your day, juma, a bit me, aqua bontine, ama manful be and saka, saying you cry a call or your social media. Then it means we must be careful on all of our social media.
Yes. Udi number 2 me say, because first I'm a businessman first, became a lawyer. And then I started doing a lot of policy advocacy, writing articles and things like that, doing public speaking and all that. So naturally, I need to put my number out there because sometimes people need to get in touch with me. Website I'm in Namakra. So because of that purpose, I am so careful with the calls that I receive. I even use a true caller, and it's intentional because at least for the most part, I get to know. Sometimes the numbers come and I see MTN fraudster. I won't even respond. Then I block the number. So you go to my block list. There's a lot of people that I've blocked. They are not people I have a fight with. They are probably, I saw the number come up as a fraudster or something, and then I blocked because I know my number is out there. So that's where I start from. But you are not really a public person. You don't do any business with the number. You're not into any big transaction. You are not running a small business, so you have to share your number out there. Why is your number out there? Some people belong to groups, and sometimes I follow some of those things just to understand the human interaction when it comes to data protection. So I know things just by observing some of the things on social media. Listen, someone comes and he says, they create these groups and they go like, meet your soulmate, drop your number. Hell, sorry, I'm on radio. Sorry about that. And then they drop numbers.
Yeah.
And you are in that chat, and just by count, you could see about 50 ladies, gentlemen, dropping their numbers in the chat. And then when he receives fraudulent calls, then he says, no brand name. Then he says Telco A has been sending them fraudulent messages. They don't have time for that. Yes, they have to be responsible for their agents and all that. But I won't hold brief for them, but let me make a point. They don't have time for that. They are also interested in making sure, telcos are interested, the mobile money players, the payment service providers, they are also interested in making sure that their brand name is kept intact. It's their bread and butter. True. You understand? But of course, some of these things happen through their channels. And so that's where people try to accustom some of the things to them. But we are discussing how you yourself could even have put your information out there. You went to a conference. They asked you to put down your data. Yeah. You did.
Yes.
But why do you think that they are holding the data, but the telco is sharing yours? They even have a more plausible chance of selling the data. No disrespect to anybody. I'm discussing what is real, what could happen.
Because someone for free.
For free.
On a silver platter.
And just do a guesstimate of how many conferences you have attended. I can't count.
And if there is a conference in one entity in the organizing.
Yes. And thank you. In fact, no, multiple entities in the organizing, but the data collection point, one data processor, because I don't know what's our system. No. And let's play a rough another guesstimate. Let's say 10 conferences so far in the year, and each conference minimum 200 attended. 200 times 100. You see? Do you see the data? Do you see the data collection just by that?
So it means that. Council, we seem to be exposing ourselves
every day,
every single day.
So
we shouldn't cry when we get calls. I'm out for fraying, and then that brings us to the issue of fraud and hacking and all of that. We should not be.
We should cry. We should. It will be inconsistent of me to say we shouldn't cry when I'm the same person who sat here and said data protection, cybersecurity is in continuum. So we've made mistakes in sharing our data.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But we can still have our rights intact. Again, these things will come to our own self-awareness and our enforcement regime. How open it is for us to report these fraudsters. Usually, they report, and it's not just but usually people will report fraudsters because the fraud has succeeded. I've lost something, so now I'll go and report. But who allows us to make a regime, what I'll call a blacklist notice? Where can we go today, the general public, and say, these 5 numbers have called me, I'm submitting it, validate it, and blacklist them because they are fraudsters? Where can we go? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. If there is, I stand correction when I leave here, but I don't know, even as a professional. So I'm using my own block list in my WhatsApp, in my phone, in my Truecaller. I even use a paid version of Truecaller because I want to get those additional little values that comes with it, just so I can protect myself. And I've given my reason why. I know my number is out there.
Yes.
At least sometimes 2-3 times there, fraudsters will call me.
In a day?
Yes.
In a day?
Yes. The day has started. I'm sure when I get one, I'll WhatsApp you. So you need that self-awareness as well. Yes, I know the government machinery must help in the enforcement.
Yes.
Industry must be open-minded to help because we are their customers as well. And they need to they need to support us to enjoy the value.
Yeah.
So we should be worried. Fraudsters coming in, engaging as people stealing our credentials, our PIN, and all that. We should be worried. And I think I also need to give kudos to the mobile money operators. Recently, and I mean very recently, I've been hearing a lot of public awareness adverts concerning how you should react when fraudsters are engaging you. Certain numbers are being called just so you can validate whether a number that is calling you is actually the number that the provider says they will call you with. They've also said that they are never going to ask you for your PIN. So these are good things. And rather than people pushing it back, say munyashwe, I think people, that is part of your self-awareness. People should also start paying attention to those things. Okay. Now, UCO Data Protection Act, for instance, it can be about data controller applying what they call appropriate administrative and technical measures to secure data now or more collecting. What I discussed right now, that public service announcement, is an administrative measure. It goes into awareness. So even though I didn't talk about the law, I've discussed things that people are actually doing which is in compliance with the law. So we are trying to balance the conversation. The problem is there, and also there is an effort towards it. But I think we are in the middle. When I say we, I'm talking about the individuals, the customers. We are in the middle, and we need to pay attention to some of these things. I don't see why you be on a certain particular telco platform, and when someone engages you that is coming from that telco, you will not ask them to excuse themselves so that you can verify. It's your right. It's your right. It's your right. And these customer centers, the numbers are there. Hey, I received a call from
so and so.
Now
from
man say, because I see in BBAC and me person me here. The service center will tell you, there be frail. When the person calls again, you can either tell them off or you can block them as well, like I do. I don't have time for them, so I block those numbers. Sometimes they will even come into my WhatsApp and start a conversation, and then I had to put them into block and then report to Facebook, or WhatsApp as a spam or a fraudster. So, yeah, we need to pay attention ourselves as well.
And I want us to stay a little on the area that we've actually entered into, and we were talking about. You mentioned telcos and how individuals, should be conscious enough to verify if in case we receive any strange calls from some of these fraudsters. And the issue of Amanfoe, it looks as if most of these telcos are not doing anything about it. Maybe you'll be a minim what we call verification. And so nipa no efremia, just like you say, so you don't entertain them. I do entertain them. I don't. What do I need to learn? If free sabria echo, said the I'll be able to met me about bibi kakrana me won a home buy. That's question number one. Me ma double barreled. How are they able to sometimes obi wo ha na also obesoro ni ye yini sika nyina de free ni mobile money account. How does that happen?
So the theory around in fact, let me say the process around mobile money transaction, it's pretty much difficult for me to buy a story, say, nipa ni sorry and scan free na account. Usually what would have happened, you would unknowingly would have been part of it because they need to authorize. And that authorization either is coming from you or you are passing it on to somebody to do it for you. So I'll give you an example. I take your phone number. I realize that it's on Momo. How would I know that it's on Momo? I would make an attempted transaction to you. If it's not on Momo, the Momo system would, for instance, tell me that it's not on Momo. It's the same for AT and the others. So all the telcos, when you start a transaction, there's a validation process to show if that particular number is a wallet number or not. Well, then I proceed to start the transaction. If it's a POS transaction, I can start the transaction. What will happen is, the prompt will come to who?
To me.
To you.
Yes.
And then you receive a call from me. And so usually they will prep your mind. They will prep your mind. They will tell you, say, bibi ama or ha, and say ni, also standby. Bibi beba will screen so a bar, but pinch or I see my company, telephone company. Na yesha bibia suma unti. We are not bibia ye. Then there's another person there who is ready to start the POS transaction. Starts the POS transaction, right? And all they need is the number. So if it's mine, they would have gotten it wherever they gotten it. And then they start a transaction, and I receive a prompt. And then I put in my PIN. The money will leave. So that's cyber fraud. But you see, they use social engineering to involve you. They use social engineering to involve you. And that's how they are able to part away. So when we say, your PIN number cannot be disclosed to anybody, especially because we are discussing about mobile money fraud, that PIN number, when it say, Ukia, ewo will safe, wofie. You know how we put up these wardrobes and then we have one part of the wardrobe where it is locked.
Yeah.
And that's where we always, and that's where we put our valuables and we pocket the key wherever we go. And it is only when we need something or we've authorized somebody to go there before they can. That's how you should see your mobile money wallet. That's how you should see it. I mean, you never will walk through the streets of Accra and expose your wallet, the physical wallet. Oh, somebody will pickpocket you right now. Even when you have not exposed it, there's chances that you'll be pickpocketed if you are in the wrong zone of Accra. I don't want to mention names. So it's the same problem that we have electronically. The fact that it is electronic, doesn't mean, we can treat it anyhow. I believe, people should guard those authorization pins. Guard them. Secondly, your transaction be a prompt in the bar, cancel it.
Okay.
Your transaction, unless why a transaction. Sometimes Miss Mami Bapenyi or call more or call Didra or because I have the wallet now. Or be a transaction. Usually I'll be frame me. Say check out, me or check out. I'm be a transaction. Nti omoya transaction now. Me who prompt now. I see say Melcom me who Melcom.
Yes.
Because what frame me catch me before I pay. Because if I authorize 2,000 Ghana cedi, what it means is I have given 2,000 Ghana cedi to somebody I don't know.
True.
And if that is all you have in your Momo wallet, you wake up and say all the money is gone. But you've forgotten that previous day, Obi Freya will say prompt be beba. Na esimasi service maintenance amount. Omu fixi unyama send a frosters embem. But you were actually dealing with the frosters. And then you authorize it. You authorize it and went to sleep. Because for you, it's nothing. So advocacy again, your platform this morning is a point of call for everybody who needs to pay attention. So long as you have a mobile money wallet, your WhatsApp apps, your Facebook apps, you have to guard it. More use passwords are, I don't know what to term those passwords, but I've seen passwords where somebody's password is God. Nyamini hini. Nyamini hini. Me better be true, baby. You are in studio. I will do a demonstration with you in studio. If our people will see, that's fine. But this is God. God is good.
Ne password no.
Ne password no. God is good. Me person me true, baby.
Happy 99 FM no so good you know. What you channel ya ka ensem bebre no a me giri se wonso ugusu a otie bi because said okay. So obetimi dia tray camera.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Betimi dia tray camera.
Into Usha who said me use online platform just to do a password check.
Yeah.
This is God is good.
Yes.
Also the password is what?
It's
very weak.
Very weak, yes.
In the red line.
Yes.
Now, me cut down your information. It shows you how long it's going to take for an attacker who is doing what we call brute force to hack the password.
That's like 12 seconds.
Yes. I'm showing you that. So, and then if I should make this stronger, let's say I decide to mix breed it with a few things, then you can. So it's still God is good, but maybe you can tell them. It's
very strong.
Now, just for us to make an argument, how How long would it take for a system to crack that?
95 years.
Yes. So, that's why I say we work with these things, So sometimes we try to educate people from a point that it will create an impact. Now, what I just demonstrated shows password now there are 2 Facebook accounts in this. If the key to your house is not strong, people will break in.
No, correct.
Yes, the break-in is unlawful, but don't you need proper deterrent before a break-in? That's what we are discussing right now. Inti, password, my dinkakra. WhatsApp, use 2-factor authentication. No be and take it over. Mobile money, you're setting it up already. PIN. Don't share the PIN. Be any problem. Don't share your PIN with people because it's similar to saying, say, me grab my wallet. 1,000 Ghana cedi wo me wallet mu ti wo de me share wo town gina kra ma me nimu but me see Jimmy wallet na so much Jimmy purse na so much 1,000 Ghana cedi wo uba we ba betu nipa no
David
ube ba betu usika no
David.
That's exactly what happens to you in the electronic space.
Happy 90.9 FM was a good watching. So I think that a critical. Now you will ebinumwa council omo said your password why knowing on one team and say go your beka trust on kai in those instances I didn't any pan be.
Oh yeah, well the friend password management technique. Now can you can even imagine say or ABR 10 accounts.
Yes.
Me were about 8 different email accounts because of work. Me were email accounts for school I'm charge. Me were email account for company me were email account for law firm. Me have my personal email account. My former school where I'm an alumni, I have an email account. And then I have email account for other reasons. Now I need to maintain the password.
Yes.
You see,
all of the 8 email
all
accounts.
of the 8
yes.
email. And I need to make sure it is strong.
Yes. Yes.
Some people use what we call password management softwares. And no for the, let me say, for the elite or those who can who have a little proper understanding and can use some of those things. They can go into password management softwares to create stronger password and still keep it in the vault for them. But let's deal with me and my friends, or my friends and I, who can't afford some of those things, and we don't have maybe a more extensive knowledge of how to use them. Password management technique, it shares some ideas like this. If I'm going to use maybe Nanayao as my password, right? Ordinarily, NANA and then YAW.
Yes. Yes.
But I can still spell Nanayao and change things. My A's can be an @ sign. But I know, say, me na spelling Nanayao, sir.
Yeah.
So I still know the password is Nanayao. Wow. Now, instead of putting in my date of birth, I can just take maybe the month. Maybe August. So Nana at YAW, I can bring
8 at the end.
08 at the end. And one thing that also tricks these password crackers is space. I can drop a space somewhere. Not to even bore listeners with all the fine details. Nobody said it's possible for you to replace some of the characters, even though you are still spelling an I. So my friend that said God is good. And in this case, this friend, I didn't only do this demonstration. I actually showed him that what we call brute force, and that's how some of the passwords are hacked. What we call brute force can actually go against his web account that he has created and generate me the password. So when he saw it, it was when he actually began to appreciate, say, oh no, this thing is real, And it was in a training environment anyway, because not all training is staff. And so we are trying to explain to them some of the tools or might deploy or more environment, they are not following the proper security hygiene, because you've deployed technology, but you've not applied proper security practices around it. So passwords, you can create complex passwords following password creation techniques or password management techniques. I think so. You should be in the business of changing your passwords. You should be in the business of changing your passwords.
Every bang, and I will say, for you to change.
I think that's a private user. 1 year, be out to say
Every year, Bia.
Yes.
In fact, so social media platforms, I was in Bia, you need to change your password.
Change it. I had a very unpleasant experience some time back. I'm a very active user of LinkedIn. One day, me receive a message say, Goyle is expanding some projects in Africa. They need a consultant, blah blah blah. And then the person sent the message to me. I went back, I checked everything. I felt like, okay, this looks okay. And then the next thing was a link that was sent to me to provide an information for them. Usually what I would do, and I'm sharing this experience because, yes, I know a lot of people know me as an expert, but I want you to know that anybody can fall victim to these things. Usually, no, I would take the link and go and verify it before I click. Usually, my normal regular life. But here was I with a message I felt was so authentic. I was dealing with Goyle, so I was going to engage. When I clicked and my system started misbehaving, I knew I was in trouble. At that point, I realized, once those credentials go, all my other platforms are in trouble.
Yeah.
Because I create some variations with them. And a very smart attacker, once he sees how you proceed, can begin to create those variations. Because there are multiple platforms that I log on to. That is when, even as a professional, and I think this was in 2014, that is when, even as a professional, I decided that whether I've been breached or not, whether I've been engaged or not, every year I would change my credentials because that helps me at least keep in check.
And every year be a password. So I think you can involve your, if you transact with your bank online, that one too, you must change.
In fact, they themselves, as part of your onboarding, I don't know about all the banks, but with a few banks that I bank with, as part of your onboarding, there is a notice there that you regularly change your password. And then one of my bankers, they push password change to you, I think every 3 months or something. So you'll be forced to change your password. That's a good practice.
That's a good practice. Council, quick one. I can't just about 3 minutes for us to wrap up the conversation. It's been interesting. I think that we need to have another time on this particular issue so that we can delve deeper into some of the issues of hacking, some of the issues of fraud, and how it is being done. Because if you look at the data, the CID, specifically within the banking sector, even as you mentioned, before the passage of Emrano, they had systems in place that now some of these things. Even with that, recently we are hearing and seeing evidence of a man for a bank or a man for a yes, of course, they have had access to certain accounts and they've been withdrawing money from those accounts. But a quick one, I mean, your final words for one more muti and Nanope on. Yeah, personally, we did not. Your government, so dear, kakra, your organizations, kakra. But I think most of the conversation has actually centered on one more muti who have not been conscious over a period of time now about data safety. What should they do?
In summary, data safety, first of all, is a personal responsibility. I've explained, the way we manage our conventional safety. You won't go to the wrong ghettos if you don't know anybody there because you might get harmed. You won't expose your wallets out there in the street. It's the same thing that you need to apply. UFO, and if there's a password on it, it's worth it because a Irana Obinsa can. On the
of course,
it is also okay to me have your own encrypted folder. It is good to have what we call app lockers. Obi log you onto your phone now. They still need to be able to authenticate to even open an app on your phone.
True.
So those are putting what we call layers of security around your digital platforms. Also, password management. My ninja kakra. Don't use passwords as though they mean
God
nothing.
is good.
God is good. God is good all the time. But don't use that as a password, or you'll be disappointed. There's no spiritism around passwords and hacking. And again, every opportunity to also learn, try and grab that knowledge. And finally, because wallet has been the biggest problem, please, the PIN, change them as often as you can. My proposal 1 year, but if you can even do it half a year, change it. And don't disclose it. Don't any reason why you need to apply your PIN, make sure it's something that you personally are aware of or initiated.